Hey guys, welcome to BatchTV. My name's Landry and I'm the community manager at Batch Service. And today's episode is part 2 of our recent SMS alternative series. Check this out. So if you've seen some of our recent videos here on BatchTV, we put out an episode on direct mail, which 27% of you in the community voted for, as you're turning away from SMS as it's been really difficult with the regulations and hoops you have to jump through. And for those of you watching it that are successfully sending messages, we'd love to hear from you in the comments. Let us know how that's going, what's working really well for you. But most people, at least that I interact with in the community, have a really difficult time nowadays. It's just not as easy as it used to be in the past. So the number one voted for method is cold calling. So we're jumping into my Batch Dialer account today, and we're going to keep today's video really straight to the point. We have tons of resources available within the community, within our help center. If you just go to the B in the bottom left, all of our videos and guides and written articles are up to date. So if you can't find what you're looking for here on BatchTV, or you notice the date just isn't as recent as you want it to be, because you always want to watch out for that on YouTube, then go to our help articles. They're up to date and super helpful. So if you're looking to get started with cold calling, Batch Dialer makes it really simple, and we're going to go over some of the big steps that you want to get out of the way so you can start making phone calls in Batch Dialer. There's a lot more you can do that I'm going to talk about today, but just to show you those simple getting started steps. So first off, to get started with phone calls in Batch Dialer, you need to have phone numbers to make the calls with and receive calls back on. You need to have contacts of who you're going to call, and you need to have a campaign telling the system how you'd like it to behave, how many times you want to call people back if they don't answer, a whole bunch of stuff. So we're going to start by going to phone system in the phone numbers section, and there's so much I want to tell you guys about here, but be sure to go to our help center, sign up for our master classes that we have going on throughout the month. We have a ton of detailed multiple day classes and challenges available that you guys can join if you want to learn everything there is to know, and a ton of connectivity best practices as well. But as you're getting going, you're going to go to phone system, then phone numbers, and you'll most likely go to buy numbers right through Batch Dialer. Sometimes people will have an external number they own somewhere else and they can import it here. It's not for like your cell phone to use. It's if you're using like a third-party platform and you own some numbers and you want to bring them in here to make the calls through Batch Dialer, you can. It's really easy to do. I won't be sharing that today, but you basically just add your number here, name it like my number from XYZ platform, whatever you want to do. It's not like a caller ID here. Click call me. It will then verbalize a PIN to you in a inbound call that you'll enter, and it will connect the phone number. But we're going to go over buying numbers in Batch Dialer. That's the majority, or what the majority of people are doing anyway. So when you go to buy number, you're going to select the state and or area code. And I know it goes without saying, but if you're calling people in Arizona, get Arizona phone numbers, so on and so forth. So I'm going to grab 480 area code in Arizona. If you want to specify, you're going to grab your phone numbers. And just a quick tip here, there's so much I could talk about on this topic on phone numbers. Makes a huge difference in your connection rates. Your phone numbers is by far the most important part of it all, because if your phone numbers are getting flagged, people are going to be less likely to answer your calls. So anyway, I could go into it really deep. So if you're wondering how many phone numbers you need, try to make sure you have enough to cover making no more than 100 dials per day per phone number. So if you know you're able to get through about 500 calls in the day, get 5 phone numbers. Get a little bit of a buffer if you can. And if you're just really not sure, maybe start with 3 and kind of see how that goes throughout the day, how many calls you're able to make. So no more than 100 dials per day per phone number. That'll just help you avoid getting flagged so quickly by all of the different carriers, because you're not just making a ton of calls on one phone number specifically. So after selecting those, you can move on, and you might see something different. In the basic plan, each phone number has a different cost that you'll see in here per month. In the advanced plan, every agent gets 60 included numbers a month that don't cost anything, which is really nice. So whole bunch of stuff here, but grab your destination for any inbound calls. The most popular, the easiest, most straight to the point is the voicemail option, so that when people eventually start calling us back, I'm going to be able to push them over to a voicemail. They can leave me a message and I can get back to them when I can. We do have inbound call queues in here. You can assign things to an agent. You can even assign things to a phone number, like a cell phone or a business line. In another spot, you can change that. There's some limited options showing on this page, but the easiest place to just get going is add a voicemail. You can either create your own recordings in your settings or just use the default for now and change it later. Let's just use the default. Agree to the terms of service, click order now, and that's step 1 out of the way. If you're in the advanced plan, make sure that you select your numbers just over here off to the left, and turn on your monitor reputation option. This is only in the advanced plan, but it's really nice to see if anyone's flagged you. You can always go and register your phone numbers. There's a ton of things you can do. You can have them replaced. In the advanced plan, you get unlimited replacements for those phone numbers that are being flagged. So lots of stuff here. Anyway, let's move on and go into step 2, which is getting contacts. Now, within contacts, there's a lot of different ways you could go about this. If you have a Batch Leads account, we have videos on this within BatchTV and our Help Center, but you can integrate the two and push that list over into Batch Dialer from Batch Leads and have them integrated and kind of talking to each other, which I recommend doing if you have Batch Leads. I wouldn't be exporting that list from Batch Leads and then manually uploading it here. You're going to miss out on so many benefits of using the integration. So if that's you, check out those guides. And if you don't have them integrated yet, that's one way you can bring contacts in. Another way is if you just want to import spreadsheets. So if you go to contacts and then contact list, you can bring in a spreadsheet of contacts. Of course, you have to have the phone numbers to import them in here. And another way is lead list. We have some videos on this as well, but for those of you that maybe don't have something like Batch Leads, or you don't really have a place to be able to pull data and import it into Batch Dialer, I'm going to show you an example on this today just for simplicity. But today's example, I'm going to show you through lead list to give you an idea just how to get started really quickly. This is a add-on subscription, but if you haven't seen this before, great time to show you how it works. But all you have to do if you are using this option is type in your location. You can choose your property types, and then you have all of these different list types that you can mix and match or just pull one at a time and have that kind of more organized and separate campaigns, whatever you want to do. But let's just say that we want to grab 100 pre-foreclosures, 100 tax defaults, and maybe 100 tired landlords and put those into a campaign. As easy as that. Name your list. Add it to a campaign if you have something, which is the next thing I'm going to show you. So we're going to leave that alone, and then just decide what you want to happen if the system ends up finding any duplicate contacts or phone numbers in these new leads that you're bringing in. Do you want the system to keep those phone numbers just owned on your old original contacts? Do you want them to go onto your new people and be taken off of your previous contacts in your account, or just reject them altogether? So click on import. And as that's loading, if you're wondering about this and you have Batch Leads, that's the deepest it goes. Now, for those of you that are using Batch Leads, obviously in Batch Leads, there's a lot more filters like the equity percentage, the years owned, the year built, the owner's age. You can't go that deep here on this end. If this fits your needs, then perfect. But just to kind of bring that up for those of you that maybe already have it and you're wondering what would be best for you. But this is a really great method for those of you that don't have a system put in place and you need a different way to pull leads into your account, start calling. Once it finishes, it'll give you a brief overview. Let us know if you have questions about it. We also have guides in the Help Center, but let's just keep moving on. Once you have people imported, you can definitely go and click on them in your contacts to go take a look at their details. I'll show you that here shortly. Their information will pop up when you're connected with them on a call and dialing them, but you can also just go there manually too. But the last step is to create a campaign. So in your campaigns page, a lot to be said about this page as well, but we're going to go to create a campaign. And you'll see some different options across the top. Typically, when I teach creating campaigns, I go into every detail. We have that in the Help Center, and you can reach out to me in the community. But for today's guide, to show you once again how simple it can be, we're going to use the campaign wizard off to the right because it really gets the important things out of the way. And yes, we already have what is recommended in your advanced configuration. So if there's nothing that you need to change there, like your Podio integration or lead sheets, then you really can just use the campaign wizard to make your life easy. So we're going to use that, but remember, there's deeper guides. So when you click on campaign wizard, the system's saying, hey, how would you like to make your calls? You want to use the auto dialer where you're calling multiple people at once. That's the most popular option. And the manual dial option is one person at a time. This is still a really great option for if you have like a follow-up campaign or a callback campaign. A lot of people don't realize that you can call people back that you've missed within Batch Dialer as long as you have a manual dialer campaign set up. Because the predictive one that has a mind of its own, it's automatic, it's going to keep busting through your campaign. So manual dialing is for calling people back. Follow-up campaigns or things that you want to take special care and attention to. But let's click on next after choosing the auto dialer. Choose who's going to be making the calls, if it's just you or you and or some agents in your team. But let's click next. Bring in your contacts here or grab them from your contact list that you've already previously imported as kind of our step 2. I'm going to go and grab the Phoenix leads that I grabbed, like the tired landlords, pre-foreclosures, and I think tax defaults. And that was from the lead list add-on I have. And then click next. You're going to choose which phone numbers you're going to use. Remember, I'm just going to grab a group of phone numbers I have in here to make it quicker, but have enough to cover your calls. And if you're not sure, start with a few and then see what your call volume is looking like in the day. But I'm going to grab a group of 20 phone numbers to have a really nice variation as they're going to be simultaneously rotating through those and getting evenly used. Click next. You're going to name your campaign. Name it something clear. I'm just going to name this Phoenix Leads because this is kind of a mixed campaign of all of those different ones. I could definitely reference them if I wanted to. Do tax defaults and tired landlords. It'll just kind of review everything for you, let you know what's there. The call results are the colorful disposition buttons that pop up at the end of your calls. They actually have rules on the back of them and it can help you automate your process a ton. You should check out your call results in your Batch Dialer account if you haven't before. There's so much you can do with these, but let's go ahead and move forward and click save. And that's it. If you want to use that campaign wizard option, it really just walks you through the most important parts. Now, if you decide to change the amount of lines you're dialing in a campaign, or you start dialing and you want to make some edits there, you can always go to the 3 dots on the right, click edit campaign, and everything is there laid out just a little bit differently. But advanced configuration does have things like the dialing behavior in terms of how many dials per agent you're calling, so that's the amount of lines. So if you want to call more lines, if you want to change how many times the system's going to call somebody, if they don't answer, how long it's going to wait in between those attempts, and a ton of other things. Let us know if you have questions. Check out that guide within the Help Center as well so you can see everything broken down. But now that we have our phone numbers, we have our contacts, and we've created a campaign and everything's attached, because you do want to have those phone numbers and contacts attached, of course. All you have to do is click on the phone button, or your agents will do the same exact thing, and click on the join button next to that campaign you want to begin dialing. There's that campaign we created. I'm going to use a different one for example, but click on join. It'll bring up in a predictive dialer the amount of lines that you're dialing or going to dial at one time. So in this case, I have the settings to 3. It'll begin dialing, and as soon as somebody picks up, it'll bring me to their contact card so I can go through that campaign really quickly. Remember, with the manual mode, it will just be one person at a time, but you can see it's brought me to that contact. After you have that conversation, you go through their property details, read your script over here off to the right, go through your notes, fill out your lead sheets. You can end the call and disposition it. So that's what those colorful buttons are, to tell the system how it went. Did they say, don't call me back? Did you have a successful sale? Did they not answer? I'm going to mark it as do not call. Leave a note in your mood if you want to. And with predictive, after you click done, you're just going to sit back and wait for the next group of contacts to get picked up so you can keep talking to people. Take your time as you go through the property details, all of the things that are available, like if the property's vacant or not, how long it's been owned, so on and so forth. But take a look at your activities, campaigns, schedule follow-up calls. Once again, when somebody answers, it'll take you to their contact. Click the end button when you're done. Disposition it and move on. Once you're done dialing, you're just going to go back to the little megaphone in the phone button and click leave. And then with the manual mode, it will be different, where you're going to be clicking each one manually and choosing when you want to move on to the next contact and clicking that call button. We're hardly scratching the surface today, but the last little note is that if you go to your reports in your menu, you can see all of the calls that have been happening within the day. You can filter that out, find all of your missed calls, inbound, outbound, how have you been dispositioning your calls. You can listen to call recordings here and manage what's been happening in your call history. I really could go on and on about all you can do within Batch Dialer, and I know we breezed over a lot of these sections today, but remember, our Help Center has detailed guides. You can go to that link in the description, reach out to me in the community if you need help, want somebody to take a look at your account. And if this series was valuable to you and this video helped you today, and if you haven't seen part 1, go back and check that out for direct mail. But be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and we hope to see you guys on some of our next videos.